Mimic Skinwalker? Oh, I said it. I said it.
Wait to see if you were going to say
oh,
it.
God.
You didn't mean it. Just kidding.
I read it because I'm, like, reading it on the paper, and then the second it came out of my mouth, it tasted bad. It's fine. I only said it once. It's like Bloody Mary. You have to say it 3 times. No, just kidding.
That used to scare me so much as a kid.
I saw somebody talk about how they knew that they had OCD because I'm like, I've never had an original experience in my entire life. But they were like, whenever they first heard of Bloody Mary and even after that, they would go into the bathroom and they'd be unable to... Ooh, I just got a weird noise in my ear. That was weird. It was like...
Enhance the audio.
If it comes through on the mic, I hope it does. But when she learned about Bloody Mary, she couldn't go into the bathroom and, like, look in the mirror because she was afraid that she would think it 3 times in a row while looking at the mirror.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I did that a lot. I still do that. Like, I, like, look in the mirror and I'm like, don't think about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a grown-ass woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... I
Just in case. Who am I to tempt it?
Exactly. Why would I do that? So now I'm gonna...
Yeah, even now I'm like, how many times have you said it?
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like thinking about saying the flesh pedestrian thing now. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be able to sleep the rest of the fucking night. Every time I hear anything, I'm just gonna think of that. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, mimic or flesh pedestrian... My strange encounter in northern New Mexico. So a little backstory. My friends and I have been hiking and backpacking around the area many times, at least once a year on a good long multi-day backpacking trip. A few times in the same location, and other than car problems and sometimes friends not bringing the right gear, we've never had any issues. This specific trip was about 6 miles in, 6 miles out, up to a lake with about 6,000 feet elevation change.
Yeah.
We did it in October, so we were preparing for extreme cold, potentially below freezing at night. There were only 3 of us, and we were all geared up for this. I was probably the least geared up out of the trio, and I knew I'd be perfectly comfortable. So we began to trek in. Took us until the end of the day,
My mom's calling me.
Woo, 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 woo. Mommy.
Hello?
What are you doing?
Recording the episode? What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I forgot.
That's okay.
You good?
Yeah, I'm just struggling.
Okay.
I keep kicking things over. I'm getting hooked on things.
Oh, no.
My big, juicy booty is hitting stuff.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So we begin the trek in. It took us until the end of the day, and we got to the lake no problem. We set up camp and just enjoyed ourselves to the sounds of nature. We had some MREs and a couple of pints of whiskey. Pints? A couple of pints?
Of whiskey, nonetheless. That's a lot.
At the end of the night, we all settled into our sleeping quarters, myself in a small tent, my friend in a hammock right next to me around the fire pit, and our other friend some distance away from us in another tent. Now, it's important to note that my friend in the hammock was camped right next to me, maybe 10 feet away, while our other friend was about 100 feet away or so. I had trouble sleeping, and I was restless. Even though I was warm, I kept getting shivers. I was frequently tossing and turning in my sleeping bag, which I just attributed to the cold. I didn't think anything of it at this time, and eventually I began to drift to sleep. The forest around was quiet, with the occasional sound of insects buzzing or a bird taking flight from a tree. But that's when I was awoken from the sound of my friend's voice, clear as day. I was groggy and a little confused as to why he was waking me up, but I clearly heard him say my name, help me. I immediately froze as he sounded really desperate and said, my name again, help me. Then before I got the chance to speak, I heard the voice again. My name, help, I have to pee. Then he laughed in a way that sincerely only my friend does. It was a giggle that I've known since we met many years ago, and so I responded, haha, fuck off, I'm trying to sleep. I thought that he was just trying to be funny. Thinking back on it, it would have been out of character for him to wake me up to pull some stupid joke like that, but I was half asleep and wrote it off. Although I knew something didn't quite feel right about it, I decided to just ignore him and let him do his business. He persisted. "Help, I need you. Come out here." I just mumbled about going back to sleep and to just go if he needed to. My memory is a little foggy as to how we conversed back and forth and what exactly was said, but afterwards I noticed he hadn't made any noise to leave or go pee or get back in his hammock, which I found odd again, but I brushed it off as nothing. Once the voice had been gone for a while, I assumed he had quietly gone on and gotten back to his hammock. I realized I had to pee badly and wasn't going to get any sleep until I did, so I got out of my tent and immediately walked over to his hammock to pull the same stunt he had on me, calling his name in a joking manner and waking him up to let him know I was there. But when he woke up, he was immediately thrown off by this. That's when I told him I was just going to pee like you had told me you were going to a little bit ago. Maybe 15 minutes had passed, not enough time for someone to get back in their multi-layer cold weather hammock, set up, and fall deeply asleep again. Not to mention, he hadn't made a sound since our conversation stopped. He asked me what the hell I was talking about, and I asked him over and over if he was just outside my tent. He swore up and down he had been asleep since he laid down that night and never once got out of his hammock. That's when I felt the real chills go down my spine. Whatever had been outside of my tent asking for help in this high-pitched mocking voice that my friend would sometimes joke with was not him. I told him, "Oh, okay." It was nothing then, and I proceeded to go pee, keeping my eyes on my surroundings the whole time. Eventually, I was able to get back in my tent, warm up, and get drowsy enough to sleep, even though the events that had just transpired terrified me to my core. I am well aware of the lore of the areas around northern New Mexico, and I wouldn't be the first of my friends to go missing without a trace.
Huh?
What?
Had I opened my tent and followed that voice that night. Somehow I shook it off and was tired enough to start drifting to sleep after I got cozied up. That's when it actually tried to get me. That half-awake state between sleeping and awake. You know, the place where you suddenly feel like you're falling and get jolted awake? Except this time I wasn't falling. Something had grabbed onto my tent and was dragging it at what felt like 50 miles per hour across the forest floor. I felt every bump when the tent was hitting tree stumps and rocks, destroying my tent and thrashing me around viciously as I was being pulled at an insane speed through the trees. Seemingly in a straight line, though, which didn't make sense in hindsight because of how dense the trees are there. I yelled out and could feel my vocal cords moving, but very little sound came out. I must have traveled a good several hundred feet like this. That's when I opened my eyes. The only thing that felt different was the tent was no longer moving. During this weird trance state of being dragged in my tent, everything looked identical. I was perfectly aware of my surroundings. It felt nothing like a dream. However, when I finally opened my eyes, I was laying in my tent, seemingly undisturbed and unharmed. I called out to my friend, feeling bad for waking him up, but now needing to know what was reality, as the last place felt so real. He groggily woke up and said something back to me before going back to sleep. His response sounded legitimate to me. I thought, that actually sounds like him. Realizing that whatever I had heard earlier was so far away from anything he could actually do or say. The thing that called out to me in a high-pitched, whiny voice, mimicking my friend saying, "Help, help me, I need help, I have to pee, come out here." It still weirds me out to this day. After asking him about it the next morning, he just laughed and swore to me that he absolutely did not get up in the middle of the night to say anything to me, much less joke around with me about getting out of my tent to help him. Whatever that was specifically targeted me. My friends have been back there since, but I opted out of that trip.
Well, this is a clear-cut case.
I feel like you answered your own question.
Yeah. I do think the tent dragging, probably some hypnagogue after being very scared, and drinking some pints of whiskey. But before that, yeah, probably.
Yeah. The voice before is definitely very of character of a flesh pedestrian, the voice mimicking, but it being a little bit off and trying to lure you out of your tent. It's really funny that it chose a joking way to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, come out of your tent. I have to pee. You have to come help me get out of my hammock.
Would something like that do that, or could it be like some sort of more trickstery type
What do you mean?
Creature. We talked about like fairies and things earlier.
Oh, gotcha. I was like
Like they
a
can,
different
they
type
can
of
be a bit
creature. Yeah.
trickier.
Yeah.
A little more cheeky with, fucking your shit.
Yeah. I would have, but I think the best way to, if it wanted to do anything, if it was just something cheeky and just trying to like spook them, then that makes more sense. But if it actually wanted you to get out of your tent, see, if I was in the forest with my friends,
Yeah.
and I heard my friend start screaming for help, that would be the way for me to get out of my tent.
Right.
So
same.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you were like, basically what we were talking about earlier, it's night, I have to pee, it's dark and scary, I'd be like, yeah, I'll go with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I probably have to pee too.
Yeah.
So
we can hold hands.
you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And we
support
don't
each other
pee on our shoes.
But yeah, there are, if you want me out of my tent fast, like you're trying to snatch me up, the best way to do that is to start yelling for help, and I'm
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm out of that tent.
And then got.
Yeah, you got me at that point. That would be so spooky. But the laughing, I wouldn't be able, I couldn't do that. And that makes perfect sense of why you would have a nightmare like that, because of how
right, yeah, I think
scary.
that's definitely a nightmare. Like, you've been drinking, you're spooked. You're going in and out of hypnagogia, you said it yourself. So yeah, I think you had probably a nightmare after something that was legitimately weird happening.
Yeah, because it is the flesh pedestrians are a lot in that area, so yeah. Another thing too, I saw this person's comment and I did think of it, but it just brought it back to my mind. They could have been sleep talking.
Yeah. That was my first thought, sleep talking.
Yeah,
because I've been known to sleep talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
To bring up Bettina and me sleep talking. I have reoccurring dreams where my soul is being like signed into a book and stripped down to hell. It's the Catholic Guild. And for a while I was like having a lot of those dreams, and then Bettina and I went to Salem. We stayed in Rockport, but we were visiting Salem, and I had one of those dreams that night. And so her and I are sleeping, and she just hears me like, having a nightmare, and she's like, "Are you good?" And I was like, "No." And then I didn't respond at all until like morning. She's like, "Hey, I didn't like that. Don't do that. That was weird." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I had another dream where I was gonna like sign like my soul into this book, and I really didn't want to, but I don't remember how the dream ended." And she's like, "Hey, so I don't like that. Stop doing that."
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember talking to her at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It could have been that with this person, and I see they commented, and they're like, I lived with them for 10 years, and he never has sleep talk before. But I'm like,
okay, are you like sleeping in the same room all the time though?
Yeah, and also, again, like he's been drinking pints of whiskey.
Pints of whiskey. Like, were you passing the pint around? Or were you just like, everybody get a pint and whoop? Because that's a lot of whiskey.
Ooh, after the weekend that we had, I cannot think about drinking. Makes my mouth salivate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's something weird definitely did happen. Yeah. Not the tent, though.
Creepy stuff happens in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's why you stay inside, you guys. Stay indoors.
Yeah, become indoorsy. Be like us. Actually, you go outside.
I do go outside.
Yeah, you be outside. Be like me. Stay in your house. Don't talk to anyone. Only talk to strangers on the internet, but it's only one-sided because sometimes you guys don't leave that many comments, so it's hard to have a dialogue.
If you enjoyed that little story, be sure to watch the full episode here.
And make sure you like, subscribe, and all that jazzy.
Jazzy? I see what you did there. Wait, what was that?